Oh, I'm huge. I've got my big head. Good evening, everyone. Um, I'm not used to that. Um, Ben was so professional, and then I ruined it immediately. But that's part of the charm. And you're still here, Suggs, which is I'm so huge. Look at me. I'm not used to being so big. Let's move. Right. Everyone will see my horrible eye. It's got like pus or something in. I don't know what's going on with that. It's gross. Put it on the other side. Anyway, God, I'm so confused. It's delayed as well. Hang on. I'm so professional. Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. We're only delayed by an hour. There's still 7 minutes left of my birthday, so get those drinks in at the bar. Welcome, everyone. If it is your first time, wow, what a one to join us for. It makes no sense. We're using Ben's connection. The graphics are down compared to, normally we have all our stuff. We've had to do very last minute stuff. Half of the things you can spend points on just don't exist anymore. Unless Ben's downloaded the Sexy Boy theme and stuff to his computer just to listen to in his spare time.
Sorry.
No milk tray delivery. Team Yana, you can click on it, but you ain't going to get any picture. Everything's wrong. There's a big background sound, like a bird flapping in a box or a squirrel having a time. Oh, no.
I don't know why you click on Team Yana anyway, to be fair. It's all about Team Muffin.
That's what they're saying. They are saying that Muffin is the housewife's favourite.
Word on the street.
Word on the street. Word. I'm going to keep talking and hope that someone sorts out the flapping bird. But yes, we are the Boys from the Baltic Star, and we're here on Friday nights, nearly Saturday morning, and we're playing Traveller, and we're getting towards the end of our Season 2 Traveller Extravaganza, and that's very, very exciting, and we're glad that you, dear friends, old and new, could join us. If it is your first time, you're very welcome. Thank you. We'll stream for a couple of hours until my eye gets so painful I need to go to bed, or Ewan gets so sick he just passes out from the pain. But until then, we are here with you guys to entertain you and entertain ourselves. And hopefully you'll enjoy our little corner of the internet just for a couple of hours. As I said before, please feel free to click the red sign if you want to, but anything involving sound, so that's our pinky background, ain't going to work. Anything with a graphic ain't going to work. But importantly, you can still send us a boon, you can still name an NPC, you can still make us clonk something, and so on and so on. So use your understanding. Please feel free to lurk or chat. We love our lurkers and our chatters. And Team Yana, thank you, Ben. And other than that, I'm lost without all the bells and whistles. So I suppose I'd better do an introduction and get us started, because we're already very late. My name is Luke. I'm now the same age as Agnar Arnson, which is heartbreaking, to be honest. So we made fun of him about being the broken old man. But then I've got my gammy eye now, so I am a broken old man. I play two characters. I play Kara and Soraya. And Kara is an arty sort of character. So I've gone to pieces. She's good at talking to people and very bad at keeping a straight face. She just lets everything out. She blurbs it all out. Soraya is a jack of all trades engineer kind of type. Loves a mimosa, loves a buckyball. Not very classy. We like that about her. Above me, this is so confusing. Above me, I'm looking up at him now. Check his nostrils. Here's my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite yet again. The handsomest man on the internet, the only person we're allowed to stand for. It is the mighty Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hey, Luke. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Much better now, we're all sorted. I'm ready to go. I do question how many men you've actually seen on the internet, though, because, I'm not going to lie, there's a lot out there.
There's a lot of men on the internet, I've been told.
There's a lot of handsome men out there.
I wouldn't know. Advice from you, Ewan. Who do you play in this story of ours? It's getting close to the end of season 2, and we're all still alive for now.
Oh, you had to say it, didn't you?
I know, sorry.
I play Stefan Miller, who is Soraya's equally less. How did you put it? Less classy.
It's classy.
Colleague. Generally quite sneaky, quite dexterous. And I also play Agnar Arnson, Varga, Wolfman, former military general, and mostly there for the medic and the military tactics. But he does like to use his shotgun as well, and the floof.
Two finer characters, dear friends, you would never ever find in any story than those two. Now, the man tasked with keeping our entire crew alive to the end of the series is below us, but only in camera. But you see, he is the smartest man in any room, and if this was a column of intelligence, he would be right at the top. In fact, there'd be some black space between the two of us and then him. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence, and he delivers a milk tray to all the naughty women across the country. Socks, I've heard, has already received 6 boxes. She's got like one of those cards that he stamps every time he goes.
Frequent flyer program.
Yeah.
It is our referee and our beloved Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Yes, it's been a bit of an evening so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. An hour of confusion. But no doubt you're about to lead us into a couple of hours more confusion.
Oh, absolutely. Would you like a quick reminder of where we're standing at this point?
It would be helpful. I feel all shaken and confused.
Okay, then. Following the attacks on the Geeker diaspora, a travelling religious sect currently passengers aboard the Seamstress, our heroes took the offensive. They followed a suspicious person, tentatively identified as Ferrily Harmon, to her quarters, and when they approached her, they did battle. And she died in the ensuing fight, killed by her own murderous device. A second device was seized by the travellers and later handed over to Olivia Sharp, League security officer. She made use of the party's skills, using the device to confirm that the assailant they already had in custody is part of the same conspiracy. Meanwhile, one of the members of the diaspora has been quietly wandering off for some reason, and based on the information they have gathered, there may be no more attacks, if there were only going to be the supposed 3 of them. At the security office, our heroes met a journalist, Verima Sefron, on her way to cover the Pelago race on Geeka. She seems to have picked up the fact there might be a story going on aboard the Seamstress. On the plus side, Sharp offered to help them secure medical supplies. Back in the party's quarters, the chameleon suit that Harmon was wearing looks like it doesn't fit Stefan, which is a shame given his proclivities, and Sammy passes on the message that the diaspora wants to visit the ski slope together as soon as possible. Kara, trying to steer the journalist away from anything too difficult to explain, offered to buy her a drink, and as soon as they were comfortable, Sefron said, "For a journalist, there are only 3 types of people: consumers, sources, and subjects of stories. The opportunity for you to be a mere consumer is long gone, so it's time to pick source or subject." And that is where we resume the story.
Oh, good timing, Monkey Tales. Good evening. We've started an hour late because everything went wrong on the internet, hence the funny backgrounds. But we're here, and you're here. Thanks for the resub.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hazels. Hey, Strain. Nice, thank you for joining us for the first time, or chatting at least. Dave, Rasinka Skillins, the pirate, of vast to you. Thank you all. Hope you had a wonderful stream. I hope it went really, really well.
It was their Christmas party stream. It looked enormous fun.
Nice.
Oh, man. Can't believe I missed it. Sorry, guys. I was busy. I did want to come, but family life got in the way. And then my eyes got diseased. Yeah, it's not my birthday anymore now, though. It's gone past midnight.
No, it doesn't count. We haven't slept yet.
Everyone home. That's it. That's my birthday next year. Oh, thanks. That's all. I've not slept. No, I haven't slept. I'm not sleeping till Brooklyn. Right.
That should definitely be the title for our Christmas Eve stream, by the way.
Just Brooklyn. I lied.
Well, or some kind of spin-off.
Merry Christmas to you, Poops, as well. Right, so Kara's just been accosted by this accursed media woman. Where are they? Where are they at this minute?
They're in a fairly routine bar, sitting at a corner table, a little bit out of the way of people.
Um, Carol say what? Uh, sort of trying to delay things a little bit. What are my two options again?
You can be a source, or you can be the subject of the piece.
I have been the subject of many pieces before, but that was normally down to being about the person that got detained after a drunken volleyball matches in bars at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's go. Let's go source, or I could go source of the source. In fact,
Source of the source.
the source of the source. Yeah, you know how mighty rivers thunder their way through planets, getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they go out into the sea.
I've heard of such things.
I'm not the mighty river, but you know that little nook, that little cranny at the top, where you just get that little drip. I'm the little drip.
A rill.
I can be your little rill. I'll be your rill.
Okay. Well, that seems fair.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, what exactly do you want to know? I am the babbling. I'm babbling tonight. What do you want to know, dear Sephron?
I went to see the scene of an incident, and they said that a number of people had been hurt due to a maintenance failure in a section of the accommodation areas of the ship.
Hurt. What did you say? Sorry, say that again. I'm really struggling. It sounds really different for me tonight.
There was I was told there was a maintenance failure which led to a number of injuries in a section of the ship.
Okay, maintenance failure. There was a maintenance failure that led to many injuries in a section of the ship.
Really?
Well, I can tell you that because I was there when it happened. You see, I didn't do it. I didn't do it, and there was no volleyball happening. But
can you roll a persuade check for me, please, with intellect?
Persuade with confusion. We'll see how hardcore she is, because that's a 5 + 4 is a 9.
Okay. She says, so you've decided to be the subject then, not the source?
I preferred being the bubbling brook. Why? What do you think then? You're clearly here with a story in mind that you want to tell. What's the story you want to tell? Yeah, run it past me.
I'm only interested in the truth.
Well, for a start, I don't know if you know or heard or got told, the power cut out not once but twice. And if not, feel free to jot that down. That is facts.
She makes a note.
I believe there were people stuck in the lift. I don't know if you spoke to any of those. That must have been quite terrifying. Getting stuck in the lift is always horrible.
Yes, I've interviewed a couple of people.
There's potentially something wrong with air supply, oxygen supply, or something like that, maybe. Because it got really hard to breathe for a little while. I'm not a mechanic. Look at me. I can barely... you know those little model aeroplanes? I can barely put one of them together. But
right.
There was definitely seemed to be things where it was very hard to breathe at times, and I think people were worried and panicking at times. I nearly passed out at one point.
I see. So you have no idea, for example, what may have caused this difficulty breathing?
the oxygen died. I know that. I do know because, of course, security were very concerned about, power going on and off, difficulty breathing, things like that. And I do know that my dear friend Agnar, who you may have seen earlier, in fact, you would have seen him earlier. He's hard to miss. He's very resplendent, isn't he? So floofy. He did speak to Sharp. Have you met her yet, or is she still sort of in the shadows as far as you're concerned?
I've seen her in passing.
She said that apparently she is willing to meet you for an actual interview with her. So forget me as the babbling brook. She is the river. She's the one that will have the data, the footage, the this and that, the know-how, the stats, the numbers, all the knowledge. I was there struggling to breathe at times, nearly blacked out. Was pretty much dragged towards the lift where they're trying to find sort of pockets of air and things. But she's the one. Olivia Sharp's the one. She's a smart lady.
Okay, so essentially, the story that we're being given is incomplete but largely accurate as far as it goes. There was a maintenance problem. That's what you're saying?
Like I say, I don't know what's going in the pipes and sort of the electrics, but I just know the power went off twice, and I nearly blacked out from not being able to breathe, and it was horrific. Have you ever been close to death, Miss Saffron?
No, I'm a journalist.
They say your life flashes before your eyes.
I'm rather looking forward to it.
My life's been so good. I was nearly unconscious for about 17 hours, and apparently I was told it was only 15 seconds.
I see. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's all you can tell me about that, then that's all you can tell me. I obviously have no more questions about that.
No, I'm sorry. Like I said, sorry I can't give more, but I did give you Sharp, of course.
Of course.
That must be good for you. I'm glad that's been able to.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be able to shed a lot more light.
No, you're absolutely right. So if I could just ask a couple of follow-ups, more to give me preliminary questions to discuss when I speak to Officer Sharp.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Your own quarters were firebombed the other day.
My quarters weren't. I'm in the party room, and they were not firebombed at all.
Possibly I misspoke. The entrance to the lift leading to your quarters was firebombed the other day.
Yes, apparently so. Well, I wasn't there, but I hear there was quite a crowd and a kerfuffle.
Yeah. And you're travelling with a well-known religious sect.
That is not strange news to anyone. I think that's pretty. They're not very good at keeping their heads down. I think you could say that's pretty much common knowledge.
They themselves came under an attack just a few days ago.
Apparently so. I wasn't there for it.
Okay. So the religious sect was attacked a few days ago. Their quarters, which are also your quarters, were attacked yesterday.
I was told it wasn't a big attack, but there was a lot of people around.
Yes, I've seen footage captured by people at the scene. It looked quite alarming.
I'm sure it must. Anything on a ship is scary, right?
Absolutely. And then there's this maintenance failure, which is in a completely different part of the ship.
Yeah.
And yet, by some astonishing miracle, you happen to be there as well.
I was. Yeah, we were there. Oh, there were three of us, in fact, from my little crew, which which I'm sure would be available from anyone you spoke to. Would say there were 3 wonky people they've seen around the ship.
So here, I suppose, is where I encounter a problem. There have been 3 highly visible, life-threatening events. 2 of them, your team was actually present for, because they happened to people you were with at the time. The 3rd one, your team was present for because you just were sightseeing near someone else's quarters?
Kara pulls a bit of a face at that. And she's like, oh, come on, you don't go sightseeing around quarters. If you're going to go sightseeing somewhere, you go skiing or you go to the hot tubs or something, you know? Like, man, I know you're in the media and you want to get snooping, you know, going down through someone's bins is like a holiday. That's not sightseeing.
Do you know what crosses my mind every time I encounter a coincidence like this?
Please do.
I've never encountered a coincidence.
I can tell you why we were there. Our friend Soraya met someone at the bar and befriended them. And if you can probably check the footage if Sharp lets you of like the concourse. I don't know what the security will allow, but afterwards the 3 of us went over to meet with her because Soraya got on really well with the chap. We wanted to sort of see if she wanted to come hang out, watch a bit of buckyball and that together.
Okay.
I might have. I can't remember her name. I'm not very good with names, but yeah, I think she'd met her. She'd had a drink at can't remember which pub or something, one of the bars along here, and wanted to hang out with her. And Soraya's not very good. She's good when she's drunk, but she gets a bit nervous, so she got me and Agnar along to, as a little friendly group. To be fair, 3 of us together might look a bit, I'm not scary, but you know what I mean. But that's why we were there, and that's when it all suddenly kicked off with all of that. I don't know. Was it? It wasn't power outages for the whole ship, was it? That would have caused chaos, right?
Apparently not. No. Certainly not where I was.
Do you know how local it was?
I haven't got an absolutely definitive answer for you. I'm sure Officer Sharp will be able to fill me in.
I'm sure she will, and hopefully she can fill in with more than I can. Like I say, we went to see the friend. Knocked on the door, and as we were sort of knocking on the door, it all suddenly, power gone, lift, screaming in the lift, and then there seemed to be a cutout on the oxygen, something like that.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Just 2 more questions.
I thought it was only supposed to be just 1 more question.
The first is, can you tell me from your experience if there's anything that you know of that can knock out power to the lights, the lift, redundant systems, backup controls, and everything else in an area of a ship all at once?
Yeah, loads of stuff.
Really? What kinds of things do that?
I studied computer engineering at college along with my art. You could run a virus. There could be a hack into it. You could put a little data chip into it to spark that. You could probably fire off various grenades or flares or something could cause an engine like that. It could be a centralized thing. Probably someone could probably do it from their room with a decent computer. I reckon there's probably like 30 things you could probably do.
Okay.
On off switch.
I'll bring it up with Officer Sharp again, and finally, when we get to Geeka,
up the geeks,
I feel very strongly that we're going to want to meet each other again.
Well, why don't you give me your business card? And when we get there, if I feel as strongly about it, then I'm sure that meeting will happen.
Okay. She bleeps her details across and she gives a slightly predatory-looking smile and stands up and strides off.
Kara's going to sort of wait until she's gone, sort of watch her as she leaves. And then when she's 100% certain she's gone, she's going to get up and look to move in the other direction.
Okay.
Down a couple of this ways and that ways, and then find some seats in the cheap seats of the buckyball. I don't know what time it is, but just sit on the seats.
Sure.
Somewhere where she could see if anyone was nearby. And then she's going to call Agnar.
All right, can you roll a streetwise check with intellect for me, please?
I can. That is it's good. That's 11 plus 0 plus intellect, did you say? 13.
13. Okay.
Sorry, 11.
As far as you can tell, no one is looking at you, and you're pretty confident that the way people are moving around, you'd have been able to spot someone if they were paying too much attention.
She's going to call Agnar. Hi, Agnar. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. How's things going?
You still up near Sharp's office?
On my way out, I would imagine.
Pause there for a second if you can. Yeah. Maybe jam something in the lift or something so they can't go up or down for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure.
A couple of things you probably need to feed to Sharp while you're there. Firstly, Saffron's good, and to not underestimate her. Secondly, the information I gave was that all I know is that there's a maintenance. She knows there's a maintenance failure. She's saying there's a maintenance failure that led to injuries. That's the line she's going with.
Yeah.
And I said that, and Kara thinks for a second, and then gets a bit wary, I guess. And she says, and I said, Agnar, exactly what happened. I said that the power went out twice, and I nearly passed out from the lack of oxygen. You remember that? You remember me nearly passing out, don't you, Agnar?
Of course I did. I was deeply worried.
It was scary. And she wondered why we were at the scene. And of course I told her the reason, which was, as we know, we went to chat with Sarai's new friend. And then suddenly it all went wafty when we got there. Power went out, people were stuck in the lift, they went out again, the oxygen went out. She gave me her details, and she's headed off maybe to meet up with Sharp.
Okay. You told the truth, but not necessarily all of it.
Yeah, I just, I'm a bit shaky, You probably remember more than me because I was blacked out for half of it. But she knows about the attacks on the cult, but of course she's an intelligent media woman. So she's a bit sort of. I think she's trying to put 2s and 2s and 3s together to make a big number, if you know what I mean. Chasing that story.
Yeah, or I suppose in this case, put 2s and 3s together and coming up with 7.
Yeah,
maybe.
But
I know what you mean.
Fantastic. So if you could let Sharp know the score.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go on. She likes you. She thinks I'm weird.
She's going to be fed up with us by now. I've only just left, but okay.
Enjoy yourself, okay?
Yeah, thanks. I'll see you somewhere.
Love you, bye!
Okay. So, Agnar up next. What are you doing?
Agnar will turn back around or retrace his steps and go back towards Sharp's office.
Okay. Are you walking straight down the corridor towards Sharp's office?
Yeah. He will go back the way that he has always done, I suppose.
Okay. Fair enough. As you approach, the door opens and Sharp walks out of her office, looks up and sees you. Ah, something else I can help you with?
Yeah. Sorry, I know. I've only just berated you with loads more information and more jobs for you to do. I just had an update from Cara. She thought that you would like to know where the journalist is coming from and what she's told her.
Okay. Go right ahead.
And then, so she, first off, Cara says she's good, so don't underestimate her. I can't elaborate much more on that, but she seems very capable of getting information from people. Cara, as far as Cara's concerned, and Agner will keep his voice down at this point, I suppose, and make sure that at least one of them has eyes behind him on the corridor, just in case someone walks down. And he'll say Cara told her the truth, basically, but not all of the truth. She believes, or she's got the line that there was a maintenance issue, which is what Cara's confirmed. She said that obviously we were in the location, we were checking up on one of Soraya's friends, and then the power went out. Lack of oxygen. The usual. I'm sure only things that she would have heard from the official line.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I assume she's not going to stop at that, but that's fine. If she,
I believe she is en route to meet with you. Obviously, you said it was okay for us to drop the name.
It's absolutely okay. It would be completely irresponsible for a professional journalist to even begin to publish a story without getting official confirmation of any facts that I could confirm. So I shall be very studiously making sure I'm unavailable to her until we get much closer to the end of our journey. So thank you for the warning. And she sharply turns on her heel and makes her way back into her office.
Very nice. And Agnar will linger around for a minute and just go over the conversation with Cara in his head. Yes, I did that. Yes, I did that. Yeah, I'm sure I got everything. And then he'll make his way out of the security office, I guess.
Okay, you actually do pass Saffron as she comes down in the lift. She glances across and she does seem a little bit torn between pressing on towards Sharp or stopping to interview you. And then she turns and looks at you with a big smile. Do you have a few minutes?
Agnar looks at his device and checks the time and says, "Oh, I've got a meeting, but I've got some time to spare." Yes.
Excellent. I'm just looking for some context, really, on this maintenance failure. That is what it was, yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you roll a deception check for me, please, with intellect?
Oh no!
But it's true, Ben.
Come on!
Something wasn't maintained and it failed.
It doesn't have the skills.
It's not bad though. It's a 7 plus 1 minus nothing is an 8.
A total of 8.
Yeah.
Can't use that. Don't you know who I am? Yeah, I used to be in the army, exactly so. I'm a general. I don't need to answer these questions.
She nods and sets about making a little note. Do you have any idea what kind of failure it was?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I know there was problems with the oxygen and the lifts, and the lighting went out. But look, I'm sure you could find out enough information about me if you needed to. My background is mostly in medicine or biology or xenology. You know, unless there's a failure with the body, I'm pretty useless.
Okay. And did you see any of the injured?
Uh, yeah, I mean, but as well as you can see things in such a situation, things were pretty hectic and manic down there.
Yes, but you're a medic. I mean, you must have tried to help if you could.
Of course,
Yeah.
but there's one man and several people struggling or worse down there. I looked after who I could. I certainly kept a close eye on my friends.
Good. Good. Yes, I'm sure you would. I've been trying to find out how many have been sent to the clinic, and I don't have a definitive answer. But but I don't suppose you have any idea how many people would likely have been treated medically, and how many could just be checked over at the scene and then sent to their quarters.
Well, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd with such a failure and such an important bodily function as breathing, I'd have them all checked out. On a ship this size, the clinic is massive. They'd have space for all of them.
Of course, as you rightly say, it's a very large medical centre. Yes, which I suppose is why I find it so surprising that there don't seem to be injured people that I can interview.
Well, I suppose that depends on the extent of the injury. I'm sure you must have been to many a horrific scene where the injured needed time before being hounded with questions.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There was no shortage of people who'd got stuck in the dark, had a bit of a panic attack, found that their chest was getting tight and the lift didn't work, and they were worried for several minutes, and then, the lights came back on and the lift started working, and they went up to the concourse and they were checked out by security at the scene, and there was nothing seriously wrong with them, and they were milling around excitedly telling anyone who would listen what happened. But none of them appear to be the injured people that I was told about, the people who required medical attention. So I have a few contacts who work in various parts of the ship, as you might imagine, and I checked in with the medical centre, and wouldn't you know it, no one's been sent to the medical centre either. It's just remarkable, given that there are injured people.
Yeah, I mean, that does, certainly from my perspective, that does seem rather odd. Who did you speak with at the medical centre? Have you met a apologies, I'm scrolling through chat. Oh, damn it.
The nurse, the doctor.
Yeah. Did you speak to nurse Melancholic?
Yes, she's someone I have exchanged words with.
I'm sure I've met some other people. The names escape me, but I'm sure Sharp has a roster of everybody who's currently on shift. If you wanted to speak to somebody in charge over there.
Well, yes, you see, therein lies the challenge, doesn't it? Because I've met lots of people who were milling about, eager to talk about what had happened. I've met lots of people milling about who refused to talk about what happened. I've spoken to several security officers, all of whom have told me that I need to speak to their boss. I've spoken to people who have no real knowledge of it, but who came up with outlandish and wild theories as to what could possibly been going on. Conspiracy theories which suggest that the attack in the hot tub area and the attack at the lift shaft and what happened in the maintenance area was all part of some grand attempt to sabotage the ship or something, which obviously I would pay no note of at all if it wasn't for the fact that the same group of people seem to be present at all of the three events, which is, you'll admit, something of a weird coincidence.
Yeah, I would admit that it's odd. Certainly not the oddest coincidence I've come across in my time, but it's not your usual run of the mill, I suppose, on a cruise liner such as this.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to leave you with my contact details. Please do get in touch if there's anything you feel you can tell me or anything you might have forgotten. Now I shall go and see if I can arrange that promised interview with Officer Sharp. And she strides off down the corridor.
Best of luck.
She makes it like 3 steps, and then she turns around. Oh, one more thing.
Oh.
At least it's only one. Agnar thinks to himself.
You saw injured people at the scene, and you were able to help people at the scene. And those people weren't the people that I spoke to. How many injured people did you see?
Well, it's a bit of a blur. I'll be honest. I'm still gathering myself after the whole event. I believe I saw my friend Cara, who I believe you've spoken to. Soraya, I believe, was injured to a certain extent. Probably one of those ones that was checked over at the scene, as you say, and not shipped off. I don't know, and then maybe less than a handful. I couldn't give a precise number.
Okay, less than a handful.
I would say so.
All right.
You have to understand, I'm one person in the vast area of all the rooms down there and the corridor and the lift, but from my memory.
It's very kind of you to help me. Thank you. And she gives us a nice smile and wanders off down the corridor. You get to see her being intercepted halfway down the corridor by a security guard, and the two of them start clearly discussing the way in which she's not going to be able to see Officer Sharp just at the moment, but I'm sure something can be arranged very soon,
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And he'll make his way out.
All right. Well, as he does that, we'll turn our attention to Stefan and Soraya, who are in the quarters.
They are, aren't they?
No, I'm telling you, Soraya, it will fit. You just got to pull harder at the back.
Look, for the third time, I'm not putting this hula skirt on you. However much you want it, I'm not. It's not going to suit you. Trust me in this.
Oh, but it'll be perfect for the last day of the buckyball. Those things are always a little bit more carefree.
Day 5 is the fancy dress day traditionally.
Yeah.
In fact, I might go in this onesie that we're trying to fit on me right now. I've been working out the biceps, so it's quite tight over these arms. The guns are quite beefy at the minute.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you need to lose some muscle before.
But all right. Wow, misogynistic.
No.
Steph,
I'm not saying I prefer it. I'm just saying if you want to fit in it, maybe that's the answer.
Do you like my muscles, Stefan?
He gets a little bit awkward at that. No, I'm just trying to help.
I'm just kidding with you.
Give a guy a break.
Him on the arm. Oh, I like to see you blush.
I do.
You worry about that hairy chest of yours, and I'll see if I can squeeze into this thing.
See, the hairy chest is perfect for a hula skirt. It's a good combination.
They probably would go together. Yes, yes.
Where are you going to put the parting? Are you going centre parting or to the side?
Don't know. I've got to find the comb first.
Agnar will have a few around.
That's true. That's true.
There would be a certain bear in a tutu look to that, wouldn't there? Yeah.
Soraya is trying to tug on the onesie. Does she have any? She's smaller than Stefan. She's bigger than Kara. She's very much a classic sort of 5'7" toned sort of character.
Okay. It clearly isn't exactly made for her, but there's a degree of stretch in the fabric, and it does, in fact, fit. Just about.
Look at this. She looks in the mirror, sort of with curves of the booty and sort of the legs, and sort of flexes the biceps, sees the seams stretching a little bit under their heft.
Make a stretch check.
Does my bum look big in this, Stefan?
No, of course it doesn't.
You just
Can't even see it.
Who said that?
She sort of grabs the hood and sort of flaps it over her head. It's a bit. It goes all the way over, doesn't it? It's a big hood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's a sort of hood that pulls over the back of the head, and then a translucent sort of veil that falls down over the face.
Did you say there was something at the end of these gloves, Stefan?
Yeah.
I'm feeling something.
If in the gloves there are a couple of contact controls inside the gloves to allow it to fit. It's not perfect on her, but it's wearable. It's just not going to be anywhere near as stealthy as it would be if it was cut perfectly for her.
Yeah, that makes sense. A bit blurry around the edges, kind of thing.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Bit predatory in the film. Us as the viewer sees, anyway.
Yeah.
She sort of says, "Okay, Stefan, close your eyes."
Now, last time you got me to do this, it wasn't particularly nice. Are you going to be behaved this time?
Nope, not promising anything.
He rolls his eyes and then he closes them.
Soraya quietly moves around until she's behind him, and then actually before she closes around behind him, she says, "Okay, I need you to count slowly to 10, and when you get to 10, open your eyes, please, and tell me if I'm still there." And once she's got him counting, she's as quiet as possible. She tries to shimmy around behind him.
And he will count. Close his eyes and count.
And then
9, 10. Unless you've got anything else to do.
as he's sort of getting to that 6, 7, she'll press the, even though she's behind him, the joke is that he will be looking at nothing. She tries to press the buttons anyway to see if
the thing fires up and does produce a degree of, I think it's fair to say that somewhat stretched out of shape and not quite fitting the way it's supposed to. It isn't so much capable of purely blending into the background. It doesn't work like an invisibility feature, but it looks incredibly disruptive in terms of its shape. It's like the outfit kind of looks like warped camouflage of the colour scheme that you're standing against.
yeah.
So it would work quite well if you've also got like a bush to stand in or a tree to stand behind or something like that, it would make you blend. It would make you much harder to see, but not by any means invisible.
More like a body painter's had painted me in front of a shelf of fruit or something like that.
Yeah, but if you imagine that a body painter did that and they had all of the colours of the fruit, but they had spray cans.
Got you.
So you would look a sort of blurry mishmash of colours, which against a background that is remotely remotely missable, you would probably blend in really well. But you wouldn't be able to stand next to someone against a bookshelf and just look like the books.
Yes.
Block colours, no.
Yeah. So imagine it's like a conventional military camouflage, only
Yep.
it's the perfect colour scheme for every background.
Got it. That's good. I like it. Okay, you can carry on your count now, with her standing behind him with this blurry.
Okay.
8, 9, 10, and then open his eyes.
She is, of course, standing behind him.
So, if he looks around in the room, is it obvious?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. There is a person who is clearly very camouflaged, but standing right there. It's like that line about Big Mac in one of the Terry Pratchett books. He said he always wore camouflage trousers. You know, you could spot him from miles away by his camouflage trousers.
He'll hold out his arms, purposefully missing Soraya, and then turn around and walk around the room a little bit. Where are you? And then turn to face her, sort of look around.
While he's doing that, Soraya will, holding in a cackle, thinking that she's perfectly invisible, goes over to his mug on the side and knocks it off onto the ground.
Not the man's mug.
I know that was you. Pick it up. Come on. Look at yourself in the mirror. You might feel like a ghost, but it's got some limitations, shall we say?
Soraya moves over and looks at herself in the mirror and does see, especially if there's sort of just in the middle of the room, and you see her shoulders drop a little bit, and a hump escapes her lips, and she pulls the hood back and her head pings into focus. So you see, it was me all along, Stefan. It was me all along.
Just before she pulls the hood back, Stefan stands behind her and looks in the mirror at the Picasso-type painting that I'm imagining is Stefan in the mirror. But it's a little bit off and blotchy and not quite as it should be.
You can indeed. It looks like all of Stefan's floof is just randomly scattered and fractalized, yes.
But it's helpful. You know, I think in certain situations it could work really well.
Yeah, it would be a useful bonus if you were already somewhere where you could be reasonably discreet against a background that was relatively plain or just a sort of random pattern like trees or bushes. You'd look pretty close to invisible in the right circumstances, particularly in low light.
Listen, Soraya, has it got a label in it? Do you know who makes it?
She's sort of trying to pull around, can't see it. And then she just hoiks it back for him to have a look at. Does it have a label in? Does it have a maker's label or anything?
It doesn't. It has a like a military serial number.
Ooh, just a number.
Yeah. It has a military code, like an acquisition code or an item code. It is apparently a K77A, whatever that means, and it then has a long serial number, which is presumably the individual thing.
It's a K77A.
Oh,
Would
okay,
Stefan know this is
A.
military? Sorry, Ben.
No, it. You can roll actually an intellect. With probably recon to see if you know anything about it.
Flat roll. That's an 8.
No,
bonus.
it isn't familiar.
No, it's just got those letters and some numbers. But I tell you what, I don't know who makes it, and I've got a pretty short shopping list, but this is going right to the top. You know, matching management uniforms, I feel would be a good call.
Do they do any big enough for such a buff barrel chest as yours?
It's not the barrel chest; it's the hair that takes up most of the body. He jokes.
Come on, man!
Not that much.
Let's not make us put you next to Agnar and compare. There's only one.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, I quite like it, and Sora heads over to her wardrobe and she pulls on quite a loose one of her looser like jumpsuits over the top of it.
Okay.
For now, he says, "I'm gonna wear it, Stefan.
I think you should.
I'm gonna keep the hood out over the top as well. You see, and then I can just have an invisible head whenever I want it." Hours of fun.
Worrying, but yeah, fun. I would imagine.
I'll make people think I've just had my head chopped off. That'd be entertaining.
What you need is like a synthetic dummy head made up.
Oh,
You can carry it under your arm, or and still talk. The lips might not move, but
is Halloween coming up soon, Stefan? I lose track on all these planets. They were different places celebrate it in different ways.
yeah, Agnar will know. He's got that Varga calendar.
Oh yeah,
Probably have other holidays on it.
Oh well, I guess we've had lots of fun here. Let me just check. Do you remember? I spoke to Blonde Vanessa before we came back.
Yes.
She was asked about the trials and tribulations, and she said they strengthen our resolve. See that? That suggests to me that they've either they know about it happening, or it really, like we thought it is a part of their process to choose the right person.
Yeah. I mean, it might be both. They might not all know about it happening. The lower ranks might be informed that we will face some challenges, and if we get through them, then we are truly destined to do, blah 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 blah. And the higher ups might.
Yeah, the ones that have paid 400,000 into it.
Yeah, they could be more in the know. They could organise these things as. Yeah, if you go, I'm not saying there's a hustle going on here, but if it was me, I'd go about hiring the most incompetent people I could find to attack the cult, whilst telling your everyday member that for every trial we get past, we're a stronger group. We're destined to do certain things, and then before long they'll believe it.
That is some strong thinking. That is very, as Stefan said, that's very strong.
That's all right. It's the hairy chest. It's easy to mistake us.
Yeah. If there is,
if
there is one more, if there is anyone else looking to sort of attack them on the ship, I hope they are incompetent, because Vanessa, they want to go skiing, and I thought the best thing would be for us to book it for them. And you know what last time was like. It's going to be stressful.
Last time skiing or last time?
No, you're a good skier, I've heard. Cara took some amazing photos of you, forwards, backwards. That suit is beautiful.
I have been looking forward to getting the suit back out again. It must be said.
Well, I think we should. I wonder if we can book it for them. If we can delay it a bit, try and book it at a quiet time. Maybe find out when the quiet times are. Try and book it as close to the end of the trip as possible. You know, like rather than like tonight, maybe tomorrow night. You know, but maybe say it's going to be a fun time for them. You know, we've booked a whole slope. You can put on your brunch. You can put on all your garb again.
Oh, but I want to ski. I don't want a brunch. But I want a brunch as well. You know.
Well, you could get the bailiff to do it. Johnny could take on brunch duties while you skied.
Good idea.
Maybe that's the way. No, because then of course you've got a girl as well. You know, and if it's close to the end of the time, that might be the time to get her away from them.
Yeah. I think we could have a lot of fun games as well, you know. We could line them all up at the bottom of the slope with their mouths open and roll cheesy balls down the slope and see who wins.
Oh, yeah, that's like the olden days.
Good times.
What did we used to call that game?
Cheesy ball hill roll. Wasn't it?
Naming our games was definitely our weak. We were good at playing them. We weren't good at naming them.
It's a great game idea. Terrible branding.
Yeah. We weren't the artsy lot. That's the thing. We're the doers, not the dreamers.
Exactly. We'll get someone else on it. Someone else can come up with a better name, I'm sure.
Should we go and find out? I don't know. We don't need to be here for a bit, do we? We can head out together, can we, Stefan?
I'm pretty sure I'm free. Do you wanna go book some skiing?
Yeah. Should we go and find out when the best time is and try and like make everything work perfectly?
Yeah, that sounds like us.
Yeah, now you're talking. All right. So the two of you head out together. Outside the door to the sort of stateroom itself, there are a couple of the diaspora standing there, waiting patiently for one of you. And when they see both of you, they brighten considerably. One of them is Marcus, who booked you for this trip in the first place. And he steps forward and says, I'm very pleased to see you. I was hoping we could discuss the upcoming skiing trip.
What? That's perfect timing. We were just going on our way to find the best time and book the skiing trip and make a really nice event of it.
Do you all have your own gear or?
We're not.
I mean, I do, but
we're not technically going to be doing much in the way of skiing. It's more a place we need to visit as a group.
Is it okay if Stefan does skiing though while we're there? He has got all the gear for it.
I have no opinion on the matter either way.
What do you think about red as a colour for ski suits? Are you a man of fashion?
I think if one is skiing in an area that's less controlled than, say, here on the ship, and one is not a particularly gifted skier or not a particularly gifted navigator, then red is very sensible.
Precisely. You just have to watch out for the balls that often chase after you on those wild ski slopes.
Cheese balls.
Rolling down the hill.
Not the balls, Soraya.
I get so confused.
So you want to look at the snow, the slopes?
We wish to experience it as a group. Yes, the snow, the actual slope itself, the crisp air. We want to go as a group and yes, enjoy it.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's great because we were just going to go along and book a load of ski spots.
Excellent.
Is there any of your group interested or not?
I think almost all of us, maybe literally all of us, will come as a group for this event. I'm almost sure it will be everybody. In fact, absolutely everyone. And all we really need is a time. I doubt anything needs booking. We're not planning to ski in the strictest sense. We just need to find a quiet spot on the side of the slope where we can experience it.
Watch. So no skiers whatsoever.
Well, I don't know, to be fair, but we hadn't. It's not part of our trip. It's not part of the plan. We're planning to fundamentally walk up or down the slope to a suitable place that's not in anyone's way.
Would they like a brunch laid out for them when they get to that point on the slope? We could lay something out nicely for them when they get there. Make it a whole experience of all the senses.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. Yes, that sounds
Fantastic.
very, very good.
The reason why we're going to look around to book it, even though, like you say, it's not skiers, is mostly because of the incident in the hot tub area. We just want to make sure that they are as safe as possible. You do understand, of course.
Of course. I suspect in such a wide open environment we'll be able to see any threat from a long way away, but you are the experts, as you say. I would suggest then that the most important thing is not to let anyone know we're planning this in advance, and if possible to make it happen as quickly as we possibly can. Ideally, say first thing tomorrow morning, before word could leak or people could guess what's going on.
Soraya looks at the other. You said there was a couple of cult members with Marcus, right? Looks at the two of them and said, would the two of you mind if we take Marcus into our room to just thresh out the last couple of details?
No problem at all. They both smile and wander off towards the lift, leaving you alone with Marcus.
As they go in, Soraya sort of nods at Stefan to see if he'll stand by the door, I guess, behind them as she sort of takes him into the middle of the room.
Yeah, he will indeed.
Marcus, the you know of the things that have happened to those in the faith, of course, over the last couple of days with the attacks.
Of course.
The hot tub one, of course, was quite fortunate. There weren't many other people around, were there? So that was, I guess, as good as it could be. And the man was killed. It was a close thing, but as far as horrible incidents go, it could have been much worse.
Absolutely.
Now the grenade, that was horrible, right? Because there were people there. That's no one. You couldn't think of anything worse, could you?
Not off the top of my head.
Like, imagine those are the faith that are one thing, with that we're there to protect them. But for just a bystander to be caught in such a thing, people trying to focus on the cult would be unbearable, right? That's outside of our remit. That's a terrible situation.
It would be desperately sad.
What's his mood, Ben? What's his sort of demeanour as she's talking about the difference between sort of crowded places and empty places?
Can you roll a streetwise check with intellect for me?
I can, and we'll see. So it's a 6 + 2 is an 8.
Okay. As far as you can tell, there doesn't seem to be much difference in his demeanour between the two situations you laid out.
Okay. Have you heard at all about the incident that happened with all the power going off and everything recently?
Yes. Yes, I think I heard something.
What did you hear about it?
Um, there was an announcement, I think, about keeping away from a particular part of the ship, and then one of the faithful said they'd seen something on the internal news service about an accident or something.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a terrible accident. I was there. It was a terrible accident. Power went. It was scary stuff, you know. Um, the we sort of noticed a pattern. I don't know if you have about those that have attacked. Stefan, what was the the hot tub and then the grenade? That it followed a sort of a pattern of something, didn't it? Those two.
Water,
Ah, the hot tubs. Yes.
fire.
Fire. Yeah. So water, fire. So we. Have you been thinking about this pattern at all, Marcus?
Um, it's occurred to me.
In your mind, what would come next after water and fire? If we were to look out for something.
I suppose air.
Um, Now,
Not
not us. Ah, an Earth after. See, my concern is that the ski slope gives itself to potential horrors for air or Earth. Wouldn't you say so, Stefan? That's there's definitely all sorts of things that could happen.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, the water as well. I suppose if you melted all the snow, but we've already had that.
That's true. They're going back to the top again.
Hmm.
Well,
Is there a reason?
yes, I take your point, but I'm very confident there won't be any trouble on the ski slope.
How can you be so confident, Marcus? Because everywhere we've gone so far, there's every time they've been out, there's been problems.
I I don't know how I'm that confident. I just have faith, I suppose.
Faith is a very important thing. Would you believe those that are doing the attacks seem to know a lot of the way? You know, you wouldn't think somehow they were sort of linked to the cult, would you? Between you and us,
L-
some
linked.
way. I don't know. You know, for every yin there's a yang, for every black there's a white, for every angel there's a demon. You know,
Stefan
you need.
starts paying a lot more attention to him at this point. His reaction.
I
Sorry, do go on.
I
No,
can't
perfect.
imagine what you could possibly mean.
But butterflies, Marcus. You know butterflies.
I've seen vids of them.
Do you know how a butterfly is born, Marcus?
I don't think I ever asked.
Now, they start life as a caterpillar, right? This little crawly little grub thing, crawling around. I'd act it out for you, but it'd be frankly embarrassing.
Okay.
I was going to do the caterpillar, and Stefan was going to do the butterfly, but neither of us have the performance skills. Or he's got the agility. But you see, the caterpillar lives a cruelly boring life, eating and eating and eating, and then when time comes, it makes a cocoon for itself, a hard cocoon. So it finds a tree or something, and it dangles off, and it hardens around it. And inside the cocoon, a miracle happens, Marcus, on this journey, on this stage of the journey, where all the genetic material, all the bodily stuff, mushes up and changes. And inside the cocoon, this caterpillar goes through massive upheaval and massive pain in order to become this butterfly to complete its journey, where it can live beautifully for 2 or 3 days as this beautiful flying creature.
I see.
Now, to come out of this cocoon is a massive struggle. You see, it has to fight and squeeze and push itself. And people have watched these things, and to sort of free the butterfly, they sort of cut little bits to help it out, to sort of help the butterfly out, so without going through the pain. And if you cut these bits so the butterfly doesn't have to go through this pain and the struggle, its wings don't work. And it can't fulfill its promise. Do you know what I mean? It needs the struggle to come out the other side and to be all it can be. Without the struggle is part of its journey. Do you see what I mean?
I understand. Yes.
Now, it would not be far-fetched then to believe that, going back to the yin and yang and stuff, that these people could be an actual part of, if the cult was the butterfly, you're getting me here, right? That there's, that maybe there are people put in place to aid in, to sort of be that struggle, to make sure there's no cutting of the bits and pieces, that this is the thing that sort of strengthens those of the faith to become the beautiful butterflies.
I'm not sure what you're suggesting.
For every yin, there's a yang, Marcus. Would you say it's ridiculous to believe that there are people whose specific role is to attack the cult to strengthen their resolve?
I couldn't imagine such a thing.
Can she see what his vibe is, please, at this time?
Yes. You can roll a streetwise with intellect and boon, and if you'd like to as well, Stefan.
Yeah. With boon, did you say?
With boon,
like
yes.
I like
That's
that.
not what I was expecting.
Yeah, you've actually set you're leading him on a narrative journey here.
It's a beautiful journey.
With intellect, was that the base? Did you say?
Yes.
Wonderful.
And what was the other one? Sorry, intellect and
Streetwise and a boon.
Okay, well then that's good.
Mine is a 10.
10
the
total.
boon helped because that's a 9 plus 1 is 10.
Oh, the boon did help.
Boon did help. That's that horrible
Okay.
one.
All right.
Oh no, sorry, 11. I was looking at Kara's sheet. Sorry, 11.
11.
Ooh. She's actually got a streetwise. Sorry.
So, what you... It's pretty clear he knew you were going where you were going with this story a long time before you would have expected him to get there. It's pretty clear he understood exactly where you were leading and was steeling himself to give a non-committal answer. Your suspicions, he's obviously not confirmed anything, but it seems to you he's definitely thinking the way you think he is. Yeah.
Now, Saravish looks at Stefan, catches him in the eye to see if he wants to say anything at this point, as she realises she's been saying a lot of the talking.
I mean, you can see why we'd be concerned. After all, our poor friend in the fire almost didn't make it down in the lift, and he's after all just an innocent bystander in all that's at play here. We're just, we want to prepare for anything that might be coming up, more so than our usual job. Any insider information is helpful for everyone, I feel.
Of course. Well, As I say, I'm completely confident that there will be no further unpleasantness. At least not beyond the occasional snide comment or thrown tomato that we get sometimes when we're out in public.
Oh, those tomatoes. What?
That was
what
us.
makes you? What? But shh, I know.
Sorry.
What makes you so confident?
I just feel very strongly that the difficulties are behind us.
I can appreciate a gut feeling, I suppose. He'll look over to Samara.
She sort of absent-mindedly playing with the catch of her Gauss pistol in the holster. She says, "Now, when we were hired in good faith, weren't we, Stefan? We knew the job to look after the coal, to keep an eye on them, to keep them safe. And that's how we were brought in. And now turns out it's quite possible that we were all just a central part of a game, that we were put in harm's way for the greater plan of another group. That myself, Stefan, Cara, Agnar, we're all big enough and ugly enough to look after ourselves. A couple of other members of our crew are as well. And but there are others of us, of course, that travelled, that we paid for tickets for, that they weren't being put in as bodyguards. We paid for them because they weren't part of the deal. That's, when we worked it out in good faith with you, who have found themselves put in harm's way because of this. We've got one girl in the sort of the health centre there. We got another injured and recovering in bed. We got another who just closely avoided burns. And it seems that wasn't for a bigger, the potential dangers. It's for things that could potentially have already been mapped out. A story. And to me, that feels like I say, don't mind about us, but it feels like those more innocent members of our crew deserve more than they've received from you, if you know what I mean, Marcus.
Our friends?
Yeah. They put their lives on the line without that being part of their deal. We knew our deal, but you know what I mean? That wasn't their deal.
I mean, it's a dangerous universe for all of us, of course, but I can't imagine there was any unexpected risk.
Well, tell that to the member of our crew that ran over to that down body and nearly got blown up by a grenade, or others that sort of nearly got killed in the fight, or the guy just going back after watching a bit of buckyball and having a big fire grenade thrown at him.
Well, obviously, it's terrible when that sort of thing happens.
It is, Marcus. Do people know? You see, we've made contact with. I know that a couple of our crewmates are in contact with a reporter who's sniffing around, and as far as I know, everything's being flat batted back. First and foremost, looking after the cult and so on and so forth.
Nice buckyball reference there.
You know me, Stefan, you know me. My schoolies, by the way. But this is all in the proviso that we were doing a good job for a good reason of keeping good people safe from potential external threats. But now it's possible that we've been having to be part of an internal game where members of our crew, like I say, the more wholly innocent, pure ones are finding themselves in the firing line for things they didn't sign up to. Like, what are we supposed to tell them? You know, what are we supposed to tell the press? You know,
Obviously, it's very unfortunate. I sympathise.
It kind of feels like, those. It kind of felt like we were being hired to take, to run a nursery. We were taking care of some innocent school kids, and making sure they were safe and they were well looked after and they were fed, and no danger came to them. And then now it kind of feels like we've been thrown into making sure that these school kids that are now skydiving and jumping out of a plane are safe, and we have no idea. We're not trained skydivers. We don't know what we're doing. It's a very different, they're putting themselves in harm's way, perhaps, and it's a very different situation.
To me, and I'm sure Stefan will agree, we're both happy in ways. We're happy to sort of maintain the facade of bodyguarding and sort of getting them to being part of their journey through to Geeka and as part of their island and so on. What happens there is not part of our journey, so that's fine. But it also feels to me like our contract is almost null and void as it stands, because it's different to what we were told it was going to be. And like we're willing to carry on the rest of our task with a new contract written up, I guess, and sort of say no more about it and just be part of the story. And then everyone gets off the ship and moves on, and we're forgotten about, and they've survived their trials, and they move into the promised land.
You're asking for more money.
Sure. After all,
we're asking for more honesty.
We have been hired as actors in a tale, haven't we? Let's face it.
You've been hired as bodyguards, which you've been doing quite successfully.
Yeah, the ones of us that were hired as bodyguards. But it appears that instead of the 6 of us or whatever you've hired, everyone has been put into this story.
Well,
and they don't have a contract.
That was your decision, not ours.
But we might not have made the same decision if we would have had all of the information. And that feels a little bit unfair.
You had all the information that I had. We knew there was a potential for danger, as we told you. We're not widely liked among quite broad swathes of society, so...
A potential for danger or a certainty of danger?
A potential for danger, which has been realised, as you say.
There was always going to be danger, wasn't there, Marcus? Part of the butterfly's journey. There has to be struggle. We've spoken to one of them who survived, and we know about that. Security have him now.
You're speaking of things that are mentioned within the faith, but I don't understand the rest of what you say.
What do you mean, Marcus?
Which bits was specifically?
You use the word trials, and those of us of sufficient seniority, we know about these trials. And it does seem, obviously you could say that we're seeing things that aren't there, but it does seem as if the trials do line up with certain things in our texts.
What do you mean, Marcus? Which bits specifically? You use the word trials, and those of us of sufficient seniority, we know about these trials. And it does seem, obviously you could say that we're seeing things that aren't there, but it does seem as if the trials do line up with certain things in our texts. And that is why you're sure there's going to be no more danger on the slope?
I have confidence. Each trial has only made it more clear that we are destined to reach our destination.
Now, if I was wanting to make people believe that what they were doing was the right thing, I would put everything in place to fulfill their writings and to make them feel that what they were doing was right, but nothing right comes easy, so it would be a struggle. Would you not agree?
You're
We're
suggesting
talking
that
metaphorically.
you're suggesting that the trials were prearranged.
Sure. Let's go. Yeah, let's follow this line of thinking, thought experiment.
Okay. Why would someone do that? Why, if someone wanted to attack us, would they choose to use our tradition to do it?
An outsider wanting to cause you harm wouldn't, but someone from the inside wanting to strengthen resolve and fulfill prophecy would they not?
You think the attacks are organised by members of the diaspora?
Maybe not members of the diaspora as such, but there are many roles within a community. Some are sort of mayors and courtesans, and some are raking muck and not being on the gate, you know. Some is subterfuge and spying. But they're all part of the same community.
Well, that would be an astonishing thing. A corruption of the faith.
Go on, Luke.
No, go on, Stefan. I was about to turn to Stefan anyway, so you've stopped me from blubbering.
Let me ask you this: how much is the next set of text for somebody of your standing in the faith to advance to the next rung on the ladder? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm already fairly senior, but in order to go up to the next level, I would need to raise about 250,000 credits.
And say you had a doubt. No, not that you had a doubt. Say that you were struggling to raise those credits. Do you think the fulfillment of such a prophecy or such a destiny would make you more driven, more willing to part with that sort of money? Or do you think it would make you less?
It would probably encourage me to try to progress the more I was confident that the text I'd already read was true, prophetic, the more likely I would be to want to get my hands on other text, yes.
Yeah, it would confirm the legitimacy of the whole thing, I suppose, wouldn't it? And make that money a lot easier to part with for essentially what is some information.
It
Words in a
certainly
book.
does make... It is quite exhilarating when your text starts to come true in front of your very eyes.
I can certainly relate. That sounds very, very believable. But it's just an interesting thought that perhaps if the people who are in charge of that money or that pot of funding for the faith were driving these attacks, it adds, it removes an amount of accountability, should we say. It certainly adds motivation for them and for you.
It could, I mean, if it were true, it could have much
obviously
wider implications as well. It's something that could be used as ammunition when we get to Geeka to try to get permission to occupy Herrenhal. If our ancient prophecies were literally coming true on the pilgrimage, perhaps that would weigh in our favour. It might also attract new, if the story became public, it might attract new members to the diaspora.
And it is weird that there's press on board to a certain extent. I mean, obviously they cover the sports, I'm sure, but I don't know. Maybe we should check out this member of the press or turn to Soraya. See, if they're a sports writer, then I guess it's irrelevant. But
I've heard she's good. Tenacious, I heard. a smile like the cat got cream, I heard as well. Marcus, what's there? Of course, neither of us are in a stage of the faith to be privy to many things, and we appreciate that when we've been told things by people, we've been told because it's what we're supposed to know in our role, which we understand. We understand that we're outsiders looking in.
And we're quite used to that to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, Stefan. And you say that on the mountain, on the ski slope, that as far as your readings and the writings go, that you believe that the members of the faith will be safe upon it.
Yes. Each attack has only proved that to be true.
Yes, right. Now, between this point and when we leave, according to prophecy, and sort of, again, telling us what we need to know, a need-to-know basis as bodyguards, would there be anything else trial-wise that we should be aware of and to be prepared for as in our role as part of the tribulations as bodyguards?
Before the return, there are only two other events that are written to take place.
Mm-hmm.
One is the conversion of a doubter who will stand in some way in our way and will join the faith.
Mm-hmm.
Our leader will apparently speak with them and they will join us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know exactly when that might happen, but we assume it'll be when we get to Geeka. It'll be part of the process of negotiating access to Herrenhal or something of that nature. The other is an event that is supposed to happen at Herrenhal.
Okay.
I can't really give you more details about that because it's quite figurative language.
You're not all going to drink poison, are you, Marcus?
No, of course not. That would kill us. No,
I do worry, Marcus.
The way it's described, it could be many different things. It's possibly a revelation that will happen, or a discovery, an event like an astonishing, impossible event that will happen. People have talked about whether or not it'll be that when our leader first steps his foot onto the island, a bolt of lightning will strike the top of the peak at the same moment, or something like that. Something that will make the event spectacular in some way.
A nondescript sign.
A sign, a teaching, a feeling. We really don't know.
Sonic boom of a Pelago boat cruising past closely.
It could be almost anything, though I would like to think it will be less prosaic than a racing boat.
Only to those that can see it.
It's true, of course.
Mm. You know, Marcus, it's easy for two things to be right at once. It's a faith can be held by its followers as truthful and as a positive force for good, right? As I'm sure that's what you would believe. It's a faith that you truly believe in, that there is a journey and that many miracles have been done.
Yes.
And you've paid a lot into it for that, and I've no doubt you've got a lot of good things out of it. But it's also true that there might, in any organisation and in many faiths, let's face it, there are people oiling the oiling the bolts. You know, that doesn't take away from the truth of a faith itself. You understand? That's down to the people rather than the faith. You understand?
The distinction between belief and ritual.
And take faiths from the past, like the old Terran faith, Catholicism. I don't know if you know of it at all in your readings. I travelled 14 years by myself in a small ship. I read a lot of weird stuff from the olden days. All right, I read a lot of faith stuff, religion stuff. Not so much yours, I hasten to add. But there were times back then where, there was always one central leader, and there were times when there were two. And there were times when they would sell, they would say they were selling bits of a very important relic, where mathematically there should have only been a few hundred, but they would sell thousands of them. What would that tell you about the relics they were selling, Marcus?
That at least some of them were probably not what they purported to be.
Exactly. That's not to say that all of them weren't correct, but that some weren't. And that's not to say that what was being taught was necessarily wrong. Just maybe there were a few devious people within it. Would you say that's fair?
I know enough of humanity to know that that's true of all people in all places. There is always someone who will take advantage.
So, speaking as a devious person, would you say, Soraya, that those false relics that were sold had any less of an impact on the person that bought them, or would you say there was of an equal impact?
I would say that if a lot of what someone...
given their faith, obviously.
I would say the person that took home a relic to have at home and to pray over, or to have a sense of well-being, or to show their friends, or to feel closer to their faith that they've bought into, I would say that the false one and the true one probably made very little difference to them.
Given their strong belief.
Absolutely. It almost wouldn't matter. Someone could tell them that it was a false one and they would not believe it.
Interesting.
But what difference does it make in that regard, as you say?
I agree. Sorry.
We've got very philosophical this evening.
I
I felt the fun time we've got philosophical in this journey, and Cara's not with us. Marcus. We will, and I'm sure Stefan will agree with me, we will ensure that this slope is empty. We will ensure that you have quietness. We will ensure there's a brunch there. Ben, how many days left have we got on the journey?
A total of 4.
Including the remainder of today.
Including the remainder of the day you're on, yeah.
Please trust us when... I know you want tomorrow morning and the day is getting on. Trust us when we will, like you say, there's no more major trials expected here. So trust us when we say we will get the best time and that patience is indeed a virtue. That's something that I also learnt from the older writings. We want to make sure in our role that we sort of provide that best situation for your believers.
Would that I could. I'm not disagreeing with your reasoning, but our Pope has spoken, and the faithful will go to the slopes tomorrow morning. I am sorry.
That's okay.
That's useful. That's still useful. I'm sure we can work with that.
All right with it. How's the little girl fitting in, by the way, Marcus?
I haven't spoken to her in detail. She seems very quiet, and I haven't spent a lot of time with her myself. I'm hoping when we get to Geeka, she'll come out of her shell a little.
Let's hope so. Out of her shell, like a tortoise. Speaking of animals,
cocooned caterpillar.
Oh, exactly. Cocoons and caterpillars. Coming from her enclosure. Speaking of animals and enclosures, Marcus, do you have a minute before you go? Just one more thing I want to talk about.
Just one more thing.
A minute, you say? Yes. I think I can probably do a minute.
Good. I'm glad.
I'll be timing you, Stefan says.
Oh, Stefan, you're such a stickler for the rules. That's what people always say about you. Stefan the stickler. I think that's what they said.
It's time for a copy and paste.
Yes, I have a minute.
Did you have you ever heard of the Galactic Zoo at all?
I don't believe I have. I've heard of Earth Park.
No, the Galactic Zoo is kind of a chain. It's here, there, and everywhere. You know, it's kind of a slightly worse version of Earth Park. Back in the day, they had some very rare macaques from Sigma 13. Now they built this incredible new enclosure. They focused very much on this one creature. Okay, now think of this. This is important. They focused so much on this one incredible enclosure for this one creature. They focused so much on one thing that there was a massive escape, a massive coordinated escape by bigger creatures who all left because of the focus on this one tiny thing. And because of that, the galactic working class were inundated with all of these pandas that ran off, not quite back into the wild, not quite knowing how to live in the wild anymore, because they were used to their safe spaces. They were used to being together in this small enclosure, this group all the time. And it caused chaos until the working class learned that the pandas that wanted to leave this enclosure would be welcomed within the community of the galactic working class if they so wished, and that they could find as much peace there as they could in the enclosure.
Of course. Well, that was most wise of you.
Thank you. I like to gather I like to put history in with with philosophical ramblings.
Anyway, you've given me a lot to think about. I shall take my leave, but yes, I will give a lot of thought to what you said.
Please do.
And he makes his way out of the room, and as he goes, I think we should take our break. I know we're doing everything like sort of an hour later than usual tonight.
Yeah.
We can't finish an hour later though. I've got to be up tomorrow. But
Okay.
sorry.
Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and do the toast, and then we'll finish off for tonight quite quickly.
Cool. Sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for sticking with us thus far. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
For a toast.
For a toast. Yes, indeed.
hello, we're the boys from the Baltic Star, and it's Friday night, and we're playing Traveller. And the most important thing in the whole of Traveller is the toast. But over to Ben.
I was thinking of a story that our former steward, Grahil Bast, told me about his very first trip on board a commercial ship, because that was his trade back in the day. He travelled on various commercial journeys, mining vessels and exploration vessels, and mostly transports, overseeing the staff welfare, the galley, and making sure that the crew was fed and kept happy on long, lonely journeys lasting weeks. His very first trip, in the middle of the jump, they unexpectedly dropped out of space near to some uncharted world, and he told this harrowing tale, frankly, about how they received message in the computer that said that this was pre-planned, and they had to go and visit the planet's surface, where they found a horrible, smoky, misty chamber full of these egg-shaped objects. And well, the way he described it, it went badly wrong. There were creatures and a monster, and something flew out of someone's chest at some point, and the only phrase I can actually remember with detail was that he said acid for blood. But interestingly, it was where he first encountered a ship's cat on that very journey, and it is therefore with some sadness that while he was aboard the Baltic Star, it never had a ship's cat. It didn't get one until after he left the company, most sadly on the roll of a 3, due to a sucking chest wound and frankly terrible medical care.
He was made redundant.
But I do think back occasionally, now that he is no longer with us, no longer travelling with us, and no longer a part of the crew. And it is in that moment of recollection, I would like us to raise a glass to the late, great Grahil Bast.
Grahil Bast.
Grahil Bast.
Right. So, who do we want to pick up with?
Hang on a sec, I'm just toasting. There we go. Are our two heroes, Jörn, going to continue for now? They've got the bit between their teeth.
That makes sense to me. I'm happy with that.
Okay. So when Marcus shuffles off, Soraya will turn to Stefan and say, well, we might as well go book it anyway. We can go and look for a nice spot, and we can always get some skiing in the afternoon when they're done.
You know what? I think my first thought is to book it, and we book it for the afternoon.
I like your thinking. Why? Why, Stefan?
Well, funny you should ask. So. But if you're planning to attack such a group who's already had a couple of attacks, enacted upon them on this ship, and you know that you're the means of your attack, you're given your element, whatever they may be, and you know the location, you look for when that location's booked out, right? And that's the time that you plan to enact your dastardly deed. And so if it's booked out for the afternoon, chances are they'll show up in the afternoon.
So if someone's So if someone that really hates the cult wants to kill them, they'll look at the board and they'll go, they're going to be there the afternoon. But if
you just try and book it out, and you can't book it out for them. Chances are that's
but
on
if,
the
like,
there.
but if like the Pope has told you they're going to be there in the morning, you'll turn up in the morning, all right?
I hadn't even thought about that, but that's brilliant.
I like your thinking. So yeah, so if something's going to happen, whether it's like a person coming to faith or anything, yeah, if it's an inside thing, they know when the cult's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you say, book it for the after. Have that big booking in the afternoon that people know. Oh, the cult are going there the afternoon,
and then we'll just show up in the morning.
I like your
Doesn't
thinking.
matter. They don't want to ski, right? So it doesn't matter that there's loads of people there.
I like
They
your
just want to take in the
thinking.
ambience. Whatever that means.
Les ambiances, I think is how they say it in Portugal.
It's all Aslan to me.
I like it. Let's go.
Let's do it.
You head off towards the sort of information centre at the nearest one. Any of them will do, of course. They all book everything. Do you have a preference, or are you happy just to go to a near one?
Is there a busy one? So one with we want to do it very visibly, I feel.
That's
okay,
a good
roll
idea.
a streetwise check for me.
Can we both do that?
Yes,
we both
with intellect.
Ooh. Cold dice.
Very cold dice, huh?
Yeah, so 5 plus 2 is a 7.
Okay.
6 plus 2 is an 8.
All right.
Then you're warming up, don't you?
There isn't one that's what you'd call heaving, but there's certainly one with a few people milling around it. It's not very far away, and there are people about. The big benefit, I suppose, it has if you want to be overheard, is that it's built right next to an open area associated with a bar, and the bar is busy.
Do the bars do takeouts, like in plastics or whatever, Ben? Is there normally a spill out? Can people drink on the concourse?
Yes, generally speaking.
So I will sort of say to Stefan, go over to a machine. I'll order a couple of drinks, and I'll shout out to you on my way back, if that makes sense. Let's get everyone. Let's get all the ears to hear.
It doesn't, but I don't think it needs to make sense. I trust you.
Okay.
I'll start queuing. Is there
okay?
A queue?
Yep.
Start queuing.
Yes, and
Right,
and you can indeed join the queue.
And Sarah goes into the bar, and she waits to be served for whenever Tim is ready for her.
Okay. It's quicker to get served at the bar. Their turnover is higher, but also, though the place is busy, they've got a lot of staff. So there is a Tim available almost immediately.
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
How's Tricks? Week been good for you so far?
Yeah, not too bad so far.
That's good. That's good. The game going the way you want it to?
I don't pay that much attention to it, but the crowd seems to like it.
Tim, what is your favourite hobby, Tim, if I may so ask, if you're not so into buckyball? You're going down in my estimations already, mate.
I'm a particular fan, I have to say, of ornithopters. I love ornithopter suits.
Oh, I just love the word.
Wait,
Say that word again. Say ornithopter suits again,
Ornithopter
please.
suits, yeah.
Oh, Tim, that's exciting, quite frankly. Can I get you to say it one more time so I can record it as my ringtone from now on, please?
Sure.
She holds the
Ornithopter
device under.
suits.
Yes, perfect. And she immediately she'll say, "Can I get 2 mimosas, please, Tim?"
Of course.
And while he's doing that, she spams ornithopter suits to the group chat. Set about 20 times.
Yes, a matter of moments later, 2 large mimosas are plonked in front of you.
Thank you, Tim. How much do I owe you?
That'll be 6 credits.
A bargain at half the price. Have because I've forgotten to put a new paper in and rubbing out certain numbers will be difficult. Have make it 25 and you can pocket the rest.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's very generous.
You're welcome. Thank my lack of banking prowess. And then she leans on the bar, starts slurping one, and looking for when Stefan's getting to the front of the queue.
Okay. We will turn our attention to Stefan then. Stefan reaches the front of the queue. There is a person standing in front of you. Can I help?
Hello. Yes, I'd like to. I'd like to book some skiing, if I possibly could, for me and some friends.
Absolutely. Yes, I can help with that. When for?
Ideally, I apologise. It's quite a large group of us, but ideally we want to go tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon. That's
Evening.
fine. And when you say a large group,
But I'm going to be honest. How many spaces are left? We'd like to potentially take all of them, I suppose.
well,
If that's not a problem.
there are essentially the way the run is organised. There are, in essence, 2 major slope directions, but as they go down, they subdivide into 6 separately marked slopes on each side. So what we can do, if your group is large and you're willing to cover some costs, reserve you an entire slope to yourselves.
It's you see, I'm an experienced skier myself, but a lot of them aren't, and we're looking to sort of cover a wide selection. Some of them want to take in some of the more trickier routes, but not necessarily ski them, but have the option to if they wish. Do you understand where I'm coming from? We're more than happy to cover costs, of course.
I do. I suppose my obvious suggestion would be, given the shape, the concave nature of our ski slopes, is that all of them start at the top quite precipitously. But the further you go down, the more level they become. So your less experienced skiers could start halfway down or even 2/3 of the way down and have a gentle slope with a lovely long run off at the end. Your more experienced skiers start up near the top and they will have a very high speed start, which will allow them to maintain quite a lot of speed all the way to the bottom.
That is a very good suggestion, and I'm personally, I think that would work wonderfully. And as I say, I'm quite the experienced skier, but some of our group are quite strongly opinionated. But say perchance I wanted to book out all the remaining slots on all 6 slopes for tomorrow afternoon, evening. How much are we looking at?
Well, I don't think I can allow you to book out, because generally speaking, people don't reserve a slope, you understand, or reserve
Of course.
spaces like that. They just turn up and ski. I don't think I can allow you to reserve more than 1 slope, because The others would be needed for other people. But you'll have a degree of privacy. Between each slope are quite substantial banks of snow. The slopes themselves are cut like shallow U-shaped cuts. And I don't think you'll be bothered by anyone on the other side of those high banks.
I'm familiar with the topography of a slope.
You are, as you say, a very experienced skier.
Well, exactly. So we could all just turn up and just ski tomorrow.
You
All
absolutely
700
could.
of us.
You
if we
absolutely
wanted
could.
to.
If you would like to reserve one slope, we can probably arrange that if you have a large group and you're willing to pay for the privilege.
Well, let me see what the ship's funds are. Well,
How much? How much are we talking for the one?
About 1,000 credits an hour.
oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
I've only got fish. Sorry, man. Oh, some static.
Yes, I mean that sounds wonderful. Excuse me for a minute, and he'll turn towards Soraya at the bar and just shout out, "Soraya, how many hours? How many hours do we need?"
She sort of looks at him and then raises the glass and says, "Yeah, I got you one."
No. The skiing for the diaspora. How many hours?
You're booking the skiing for the cult for tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah.
2 hours will be fine.
I can only get one slope though.
That's fine. Just book the slope. Go for the most won't ski anyway. They'll want a nice high one. Book one of the high ones.
Okay. And he'll turn back to the lady and I'm sorry about my friend, she's so uncouth. Not a skier, obviously. We will take you up on that. We will. Can I book it for 2 hours, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Preferably your most advanced slope. As you say,
they're all very much the same. It's not a natural mountain, you see. It's artificial shaping.
Look at me. Do you think you need to explain to me that it's not a natural mountain? What a spaceship! I'm an experienced skier.
I've seen more mountains on more spaceships.
Thank you, but we'll take your recommendation in that case.
Okay.
In a way to try and bridge that whatever it is he just said.
That will be 2,000.
But of course, I'll mark that off now. And he'll offer up his payment method.
Okay. Excellent. The money is taken, and you have your booking.
Could you put that booking under the diaspora, please?
Of
Make
course.
it easy for all the members to identify where they're supposed to be.
I can indeed.
Thank you. Wonderful. We'll send them all off to information points to get their bookings. I'm not communicating with that many people between you and me. Well, thank you for your help.
You're very welcome, and enjoy your skiing.
I certainly will. And he goes to join somewhere.
So as it's happening, Soraya's looking around the bar to see if anyone paid any attention to the shouted conversation.
Yes, a few people did. Can you roll a streetwise for me, please, with intellect?
I'm hitting sixes tonight. 6 + 2 is 8.
Okay.
I'm big tonight.
The sort of shouted back and forth caught people's attention, and you did notice a few people sort of listening to what was said. The when the diaspora was mentioned, a couple of those faces sort of scowled a bit or smirked rather than looking genuinely enthusiastic. Others either didn't get the reference or didn't care.
Yeah.
But yes, people heard.
Sarah finishes her drink, takes a couple of sips out of the other one and hands the rest to Stefan. Go on, you've earned it.
Thanks. I feel that was a job well done.
Mr. booked him. Good work. I'm proud of you. You're doing well with people these days.
I'm getting there. You know, I'm no Soraya. Gestures out at her. I'm learning.
Excellent.
Sarah leans over. Oi, Tim, is there any cheesy balls?
He sort of glances down and says, "Sure. How many do you want?"
Pocket full. I'll take them with.
How large a pocket? He
looks
picks
down
up
at
a sort of
pocket.
medium-sized bag. That do you?
Yeah, that'll do.
There you go.
Standardised imperial measuring unit of a pocket.
Thanks, Tim. Actually, how much is that?
It's on me. You were very generous with the tip.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciated. You stay safe now. Keep it real.
You too.
Enjoy your ornithopters.
Ornithopter suits are brilliant.
Oh, and she offers, as they walk out, she offers Stefan a couple of cheesy balls for shoving the rest in her pocket.
Excellent stuff.
Thanks.
All right. I think actually that is a good place to stop for the evening, for tonight.
Nice.
And we can resume tomorrow with a trip. On Friday with a trip to the ski slopes.
We could resume tomorrow, but Gilly will be very surprised.
She would be shocked by that. Yes.
I mean, I'm not sure how it would go down, but
And that was an elegant segue, Ewan. It really
So
was,
good.
because I was about to
tried.
mention that tomorrow night, hopefully at approximately 11 o'clock, assuming technical problems don't rear their head,
Yes, I'm going to reset a lot of things.
we will be streaming a bit of a darker story in some ways. I suppose not in every way, but something called Those Dark Places, which we play with Gilly, and which is a lovely, brilliant, weird science fiction game, which probably has a closer relation to the Toast to Greyhill than it does to the more broad stroke science fiction of Traveller. But if you enjoy some science fiction RPGs, I think you'll love it, and Gilly is an absolute star. So please come and join us if you can at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
I couldn't agree with all of that more, Ben, if I'm honest. Very well said.
Excellent work. She is great, and I think the mission's about to start as well. So you might actually get some missions started rather than just sitting on a spaceship with loads of Evans.
That would be brilliant. Fewer Evans is always the way to go.
I liked the out to pasture liaison officer. I could just chat to him for the next however many sessions.
Give me a taste of my own medicine.
Yeah. The rest of the crew probably not so much, but it's good fun.
Thank you very much, guys.
Too.
Thank you, everyone in chat or on VOD. Thank you for joining us. Sorry you didn't get the joy of Luke's graphics for the most part this time. It was a bit of a scrabble together last minute solution to some technical glitches. Hopefully all will be working next time. And we bid you a very good night, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Hey guys, bye.
Good night.
Good night.